press record so that it's really informal. So was there anything that you were nervous about, Nikki, or apprehensive about before? Because obviously I approached you. So yeah, what were your thoughts on that?
So, I mean, I've just turned 60 and I've got type 2 diabetes. I've tried loads of times to lose weight and my weight has gone up and down. So I mean, what I was really looking for, what I wanted was something that was going to be really sustainable, but also something that's a bit more holistic than just kind of counting your calories or whatever. So when I saw you directed me to your Facebook page and your web page, and I just thought, well, I thought apart from anything else, what have I got to lose? It's definitely worth giving it a try. And what I like about the approach is it's not about kind of taking away, and it's not about starving yourself. It's actually about kind of adding more and eating more, really, and adding in exercise. So it's all kind of adding in rather than taking away. And I really like that approach.
Yeah, brilliant. Okay. So obviously, Nikki, what we focus on with this is to elevate your protein levels and your fiber levels as well. Now, obviously you're vegetarian as well. So can you for anyone who might be vegetarian and kind of worried about how we can elevate their protein levels, can you perhaps discuss how we've gone about that as well?
Yeah, I think that's a really interesting one. I mean, I do eat fish occasionally, but I don't eat any meat. So it was quite an interesting challenge. I think what I would say first of all is beans and pulses are your friend.
Yeah.
There are some really good vegetarian and vegan protein bars around as well, which are really good for just to have with you. Actually, I take them to work with me. So if people are having, if we stop for a coffee break and people are having biscuits, I'll have one of those bars instead. So that's, tasty and it helps my protein. The other thing, which is the most helpful thing actually, is the high protein pasta, black bean spaghetti, and split pea pasta. Because I've avoided pasta for a long time because of my diabetes, but actually eating those is it's really delicious. The other thing I would say is, as well as the bars, the protein powder drinks are really good. And again, there are some really good vegan and vegetarian ones that actually taste really delicious. And I have it for breakfast sometimes with almond milk. The chocolate one, I tend to add a bit of cocoa powder too to make it really chocolatey, and it's actually really delicious and high in protein. So I think it's thinking about kind of lots of beans and pulses, protein powder, protein bars, and obviously things like natural yogurt, eggs, of course. There's a really nice low carb bread that I get in the supermarket because, again, I avoid bread a bit because of my diabetes, but actually the low carb bread is really high in protein. And that's if I fancy toast. I have that basically. So it's finding kind of swaps and then adding things in. So adding chickpeas to whatever I'm cooking, or adding, just looking in the supermarket. I bought some really nice vegan meatballs the other day, and just looking at the packets, comparing the protein levels and buying the one that's higher in protein, and just little things like that make a big difference.
Yeah, fantastic. Okay. Right, okay. Let me see what other questions. Were you worried about, if the approach would work for you as well?
Yeah, I was, and particularly if it would work long term, because I've done the most successful diet I've done in the past was keto. So that was very low carbohydrate. So I basically wasn't eating bread or pasta or potatoes, and I wasn't eating fruit either.
Yeah.
And it worked, but it's not sustainable in the long term. And this seems to me to be something that is going to be sustainable, not least because eating loads of protein means I just don't get really hungry. I don't get that kind of starving, I have to eat everything in the fridge feeling that I used to get a lot. And also I'm eating more fruit, which is actually really nice and ups my fiber as well.
Yeah.
So yeah, no, I think it seems to be so far. So, it's definitely working. It's definitely not, I mean, apart from just thinking about what I'm going to eat, thinking about kind of making sure I'm getting enough protein. And of course, tracking is really helpful for that. But as long as I do that, I don't feel remotely deprived. And that's what I kind of worry about if I'm,
Yeah.
lose weight. I really don't like feeling deprived. And
Yeah.
actually, I don't at all on this.
Yeah. Okay. Okay. That's good. Good to hear. Okay. I'm trying to think of some other commonly asked questions people might have. What would you say to someone who felt nervous or apprehensive about kind of going for this approach, Nikki?
I would say just give it a try and see what happens. I'd also say use the support, not only the weekly sessions with Claire, but use the Facebook page. It's really good for asking questions, or if you've got any little wins to share, or if you find a new food. But use the support and just have a go and see what happens. And certainly in my case, within a week or two, it was really clear that this was an approach that was going to work. So so that then it's really encouraging.
Yeah. Okay. All right. Fantastic. That's brilliant. Thank you so much for doing that, Nikki.
Right.
Yeah, it's a massive help for me and also for people who are apprehensive about it because they've tried so many things in the past. It's difficult to kind of compare how different it is compared to like dieting clubs and things like that. So
Yeah.
yeah, thank you so much for doing that. I really appreciate it.
All right.
Okay, let me press